Like, that's my favorite part. But that's
Yeah, I don't think
okay.
I've ever seen him be
On time anyway. Yeah, when he shows up, it's right on time, right? Party don't start till I walked in, that kind of thing. How's it going? All right, so cool. I'm glad you guys invested some time into that and learned some stuff from Mark. You will find that frequently you want a prescription. You want a prescription for different problems in real estate, right? My clients suck. They're mean to me. The listing won't sell. I'm broke. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm homeless. My clients are being unrealistic. They won't give the buyers what they're asking for on a repair request. My buyers are being unrealistic. They want the sellers to basically buy them a free house, right? These are all problems that you'll find in real estate. What's cool is that lead generation is the answer to all of those problems. So you don't like your clients? Lead generate. Get new clients. Fire them. They won't reduce the price. House won't sell. Go get another listing. Fire them. Right? You're not in a position of power or control until you're in a position to fire your clients and take your business into your own hands. The only way to take your business into your own hands is through what's the magic pill? Lead generation. Exactly. So all day, every day, the number one priority should always be lead generation. Now, lead generation versus lead follow-up, which is more important? Follow-up. Awesome. All right. So it's not a trick question. I was going to say it's a trick question because they're both important. However, lead follow-up is lead generation. That's what I need people to understand at some level, is eventually lead generation falls more in lead follow-up and less in generating new leads. It's the same way that if you have a very highly productive database, it almost doesn't feel like you're lead generating anymore. If you're hitting it at a very high level, you aren't cold calling, you're warm calling, or your people are calling you, or you might be on track or in excess of your goal, at which point you don't even need to lead generate anymore, right? Then you can start doing, lead referring. Then you can build out a business where you can say, okay, I've got enough for me. Now I'm going to get a showing assistant or someone else that can help me leverage so that I can now create opportunities for other people, right? So lead generation is key. Okay, let's talk about the real estate market. Who was here the last time I said let's talk about the real estate market? Yeah? Yeah. A couple people? What did we talk about? What did I say?
You said it shifted back to a seller's market, it was shifted to a buyer's market. Yep. Now the market's pretty hot.
Pretty hot. It's that dancing girl emoji, you know the one? Olé. That's the market we're in right now. So I just got the latest stats today. Did anyone else read the Orange County Housing Report that came out today?
Yes.
One.
Raise your hand, Dave.
Raise your hand if you read it. One person. Perfect. I didn't need you to have read it. I just want to cheat and act like I'm a genius. So I'm going to say that I know more because I read it. Okay. So I've been waiting for this report. I'm super excited about what it says. All right. It says the best conditions to sell a home are right now. So maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe. But the one thing that I can guarantee you is today is a phenomenal time to put a property on the market. So if you know anyone in the world who needs to sell their home, now, today, sign paper, sign in the yard, sell the house, hopefully with multiple offers. Number two, it is also a phenomenal time to buy a home. This never happens, right? It's always either good for sellers or good for buyers, never do they meet in the middle. We are in that unicorn of a moment. So, do you think you should be calling people and telling them about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you should get it in your brain and your head and your soul that this is such a rare moment, right? You need to be able to convey that to people. So much so that you get through them to the person you're actually looking for. You can pick up the phone right now and lead generate and call 100 people. And 100 out of 100 could tell you, I'm not looking to buy, I'm not looking to sell. And you can stop there. Or you can pick up the phone and call 100 people and tap into their 150 people that they have a relationship with and find 1 or 2 of them that do need to transact business. Because it's very possible that the people you're calling would have already picked up the phone and called you. They know you're in real estate. They would have called you if they needed to buy or sell. The people don't know they know you, right? They may have someone else they might pick up the phone and call or sell. But if their friend calls them and says, hey, you know how you've been talking about buying? Well, Josh just called me and he said it is like the best time to buy right now. Rates have totally dipped. Anybody see the stock market last week? Up or down?
What do you
5
say?
straight days down. Go ahead.
What do you say when, on the flip side of that, if I was listening to you say that as not being in real estate, I'd say, of course, it's the right time to buy, John,
Yeah.
and sell. Because
I love that you question real estate agents because I, like you, totally pay attention to our public opinion polls. And I know that for the last 5 years, real estate agents have ranked below used car salesmen at the very bottom of the list for most trusted professions. So I appreciate that you're skeptical. And anybody out there, any of those random real estate agents, anybody who knocks on your door, I would want you to be skeptical with them. But I could just show you the report and the data's right here. So for instance, if you had gotten a mortgage on the 11th of January, after December, real brutal month of the stock market, if you've gotten a mortgage, your average mortgage interest rate on the 11th of January would have been 4%. Today, good news, it's dipped back down a little. Right now, we're at about 4.35. On January 3rd, it was 4.5. On December 6th, after we'd had a couple of really, really good months in the market, we were all the way up at 4.75. In November, it was actually at 5%. And back in 2007, all the way before that, for history of time, from 2007 backwards, it was 6% plus. And I have a nifty little chart to show you exactly what that looks like. And the cool thing about my magic chart is it shows you what your payment would be at 4, 4.35, 4.55, and 6 plus, right? So on a $500,000 house, had you timed the interest rate perfectly, because we're talking about the payment, we're not talking about the price. You don't buy the house based on the sticker price. You buy it based on how much money is left in your checking account after you pay your mortgage. You would have paid $2,387. If you bought it in 2007 or earlier at that 6% plus rate, you'd be paying $3,111. It's like an $800 a month difference. What do you spend $800 every month on?
Groceries.
Groceries, car payment,
Kids' school.
2 car payments,
Liquor.
3 car payments, liquor, farm bill, right? Pick, right? But that's that thing that you no longer get to do. Whatever you spend that money on, savings, right, whatever that is, that's the thing you no longer get to do. Furthermore, your ability to qualify, right? Because we all know, you all know, anybody here own their house? Raise your hand. Okay, you know, how hard is it to qualify for a loan today versus what it might have used to be, right?
Yeah.
And as a real estate agent, how hard is it to qualify for a loan today with the standards that they put in place?
Yes.
Extremely difficult, guys, because you all are going to be smart, right? Was there a class earlier today?
Tax, yeah.
Tax class? Yeah, you're all going to be smart. You're going to listen to the tax guy and you're going to say, F the government, we're not paying you taxes. But the bottom line is, if you want to qualify for a loan, you have to pay taxes. So this is another thing to think about for your buyers and for yourself. So if you have self-employed buyers, if you yourself ever plan to buy a home, which I encourage all of you to do, you have to start pretending or planning years in advance of when you want to be able to do that, because you have to stop deducting so much. If you don't show income, unless you marry a lottery winner, you're not going to be able to buy. So these things have to be planned like 5 years in advance. So when you're pulling out your journal and you're writing out that 5-year plan, put that on there, right? Think about that. Okay, so you should all subscribe to Stephen Thomas, Reports on Housing.
Stephen Thomas?
It's reportsonhousing.com. And he is the local economist who does just the Orange County Housing Report, which is awesome. And I will post just that one graphic on the buyers on the Facebook page. Because
on our Facebook page, I believe last Thursday or Friday, I posted his video that he just did. So there's a link on there to be able to go in and
now
subscribe to his.
How many people work with like $750,000 buyers? Like not just 500, but sometimes like you guys work with somebody at a little bit higher price point, spend $750, right? You guys can all picture that in your head. That would happen. Okay. So the difference there between the ultra low rate of 4% and the ultra high rate of 6%, 3581 to 4667. It's over $1,000 a month. So these are real things. So that's what I would say to that person. And it's all contained in here, and you guys should buy it. And the only reason I don't send it out to you is because you're not supposed to, and I want to stay with integrity on that. But I will tell you kind of what it says. The other cool thing that it talks about is demand. So has anyone noticed like people have a little more urgency to buy right now? Anyone currently working with a buyer? Yeah, okay. So you have a guess at what percentage demand went up in the last 2 weeks?
40%.
It went up 40% before that. Now, since the 40%, it's gone up another 9. The average days on market is falling like a rock. It was, yeah, good, exactly. It was literally 2 months ago, it was over 140 days. Right now, it's about to break through the 80 day.
Which puts us in a
seller's market. Seller's
Slight.
market. Slight seller's market is under 90, but we've seen under 60, right? We were at 43 not that long ago, right? So these are all very, very good things. Prices should go up, rates are low, demand is high, well-priced listings should sell quickly. No, you can't price it $100,000 over the last call. Don't do that, okay? And as buyers, you need to educate, right? We're talking about buyers today. To educate your buyers about the process, right? Okay, what are some things buyers like? Let's make a list of the universal things that every buyer wants in a house. Go.
Good price.
A good price, perfect. All right, what are the, talk about the house. What do they want it to look like? What do they want it to have? Okay, good location. Has to have a good location. What else do they want?
Yard.
They want a yard for Fido. Okay, parking, updated. What does updated mean?
Maybe kitchen and bath.
Kitchens and baths. What are we putting in the kitchen?
Countertops.
What kind of countertops? Quartz. We want quartz counters. What kind of cabinets do we want? Soft close. Yes, you do. You are right. What else do we want? Auto close cabinets. We want white shaker cabinets in the kitchen, right? What kind of concept do we want the house? We want it to be an open concept, right? Weird. This is what every buyer wants, okay? So when you and you and you and you are working with a buyer who wants all of those things, and you find it for them, because only like 1 out of every 10 or 100 houses have it, and they call you almost at the same time you're calling them, and you go, hey, did you see? Oh my gosh, 123 Main Street just came on. I know I was about to call you, and we're going to go over right now. What do you think everybody else is doing? Same exactly. So what's going to happen? You're going to get multiple offers. And then what's going to happen?
Above.
It's going to go above asking. Yeah. And then what's going to happen?
somebody's going to be really upset if they don't get that house.
You're going to have 9 pissed off people, right? 5 of them are going to fire their agent. 2 of them are going to get desperate and they're going to start working only with listing agents. I don't even work with buyer's agents anymore. They don't get me the house. I got to go straight to the listing agent, right? Hey, pre-frame this stuff. When I'm going to walk you through the process, and we have this for 2 days, right? So 2 hours. So I'm going to walk through the whole thing in both classes. You got to pre-frame these things. You have to have these conversations before they happen to you. So get it in their head, right? So when we sit down for the buyer consult, you do exactly what I just did. What are you looking for in a house? And they're going to give you the list. And you know, oh, you watch HGTV, huh? Property Brothers, huh? Flipper Flop, which one? Right? You gotta understand what they think. They think they know because they have an unlimited amount of data on the internet, and they have an unlimited amount of bullshit on HGTV. Okay? Put those 2 together, you have the recipe for the most overeducated, stupid buyer on the planet, right? It's not their fault. They just think they know. I had somebody the other day ask me, he's like, yeah, so I was just thinking, like, you know, his real estate agent, we're like showing property. Like, we had 30 minutes to kill. We stopped, we're grabbing a beer. Apparently 2 sips in, he got super drunk. And he was like, you know, I was just thinking, like, maybe when I go to sell this place, I'll just like do a couple hours of online classes. I'll pay a couple $100, get my real estate license, then I can sell it for free. Well, oh my God, order me another beer. And then I had to explain to him the whole list of reasons why that is a bad idea, right? And you don't have the benefit of having seen it happen in real life, but I have stories I can rely on, right? I can tell them about myself, who did not sell my house myself, right? I had somebody from my team sell it for me because I needed that barrier between me and the buyer, right? So you have to be able to draw on real life experiences or stories you've heard from somebody else to anecdotally explain to them what is inevitably going to happen. So this one I want you all to write down. I'm going to give you a couple of things that are 100% don't not do this. These are must do's. So when you meet with a buyer for the first time, part of what you're going to do is go through a buyer consultation. There's going to be a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about that's in there. One of the most critical things you can do at that time is to explain to them that your job, unlike common myth would have you believe, your job is not to find them the perfect house. So you're going to say, my job is not to find you the perfect house. That's not why you're hiring me. That's not why we're sitting down today. Okay? I will do everything I can to help find the perfect house. And yet, in reality, you probably already have a couple of those dirty little apps downloaded on your tablet, don't you? You probably already signed up for Zillow, and you're getting updates, aren't you? Redfin, come on, which is it? Tell me your drug of choice, right? Frame it that way. How are you cheating on me right now? How many other agents are you talking to? How many email lists are you on? How much info is at your fingertips, right? Now, Nancy, Dave, whatever their names are, right? Don't lie. I know you come home from work occasionally and you sit on the couch, you pour yourself a glass of red wine, and you open up Redfin and you start swiping, right? That's what you do. It's okay. But just understand that by doing that, you are taking me out of that part of the process. See, it used to work like this. It used to work where I had the keys and I had the lockbox and I had the magic book, and you had to come into my office and you would tell me what you're looking for, and I would say, that's absolutely perfect, thank you so much. Let's go look at 5 houses. I would show you the 5 best that were on the market that match your criteria, and you would trust me, and then we would write an offer on one. That's not how it works anymore. You have all the information. You have too much information. You need to explain this to them, right? They need to know that your job is to cipher and get through the plethora of crap that's out there to help them make a wise decision, right? So you want to make sure that they know that they're going to find the house themselves on Redfin or whatever, probably at the same time you do. And it's okay to tell them this. It's okay to say, look, you're going to sit there for 5 hours a night looking for the perfect house. And you're going to email me 6 properties from Zillow that were never on the market and aren't available because Zillow is full of bad data, right? Whenever you talk about Zillow, they're the devil. They're full of bad data, right? It's crap. Oh yeah, you're going to send me 2 pre-foreclosures. That's just bait to get your contact information so some realtor can pay Zillow to get your info so that they can sit you down to explain reality to you. So no, there is no secret deal. Do you think if there was a secret deal out there that you would be the only one to find out about it? No, right? This is a free market economy. So that's not how that's going to work. So you're going to be swiping Redfin, you're going to find the perfect house, you're going to send it to me, and simultaneously it's going to hit my alert. I'm going to say, yeah, I just saw it. We need to go take a look at it right now. It's going to be open tomorrow at this time. That's the first showings. By the way, I already called the listing agent. I told him that we'll be coming by. He's a friend of mine, maybe not. I introduced myself already. I told them about you, right? First impressions. Your relationship with the listing agent is incredibly critical. Why?
You're gonna work with them.
Yeah, and how many offers are they going to get? A lot if it's that perfect house with the countertops, the quartz countertops, and the shaker soft close cabinets, right? Okay, so you have to explain that. What is your role? So then you're going to say something along the lines of, look, the reality of it is, my job is to talk you out of a bad decision, not into a good one. Nancy, Dave, you seem like very well-educated people. In fact, I'm sure of it, because otherwise we wouldn't be talking. You wouldn't have the money to purchase a home in Southern California if you weren't successful. That's just the truth. So I expect that you'll be fully able to make decisions based on the information provided to you. What I'm here to do is help you see things that you're not seeing, to help give you information that isn't available online, to help walk you through the numerous pitfalls that occur in the process. In fact, there are probably going to be about 30 people involved in this entire transaction. 29 of them are going to piss you off and do stupid things. It is my job to quarterback this transaction to make it as smooth as humanly possible. And I gotta be honest, I'm not perfect, right? I'm not perfect. However, I will do my very best to take as much of the stress off your shoulders as possible. And it's gonna be a stressful process. There are gonna be times where it does not seem like fun. I know HGTV makes it seem like you just walk in and then $1 Million Listing says, I'm gonna pick up the phone and we're gonna do this verbal negotiation with Josh Flagg. None of that is going to happen, okay? It's not the process. So we're gonna do our best to make it a smooth and fun process. But there are days where I might take you out in the car for 2 hours, 3 hours, looking at property in the pouring rain. You may end up soaking wet and miserable. We may see 6 houses and you may decide that none of them are the right fit for you because you have very specific taste. And I'm gonna do everything I can to show you the best of the market that matches your budget. This would be the point in time where I would probably also bring up, you have a budget, right? So you're gonna, have you talked to a lender, right? You always want to talk about this, or have your lender with you. Have you talked to a lender? No, I haven't talked to a lender, I looked on Quicken. Oh, cool, you downloaded the Quicken app? Yeah, cool, I've got an app for you too. Let me share it with you. I'll show you my pre-approval link. By working with a Keller Williams agent, you have access to a product called Keller Mortgage. Keller Mortgage is going to give you X, Y, and Z, right? How do you get activated on Keller Mortgage? You go to Bold. That will unlock the keys to Keller Mortgage. So if you go to Bold, your app will update, you'll have access, okay? Speak to a mortgage professional. Just know, Keller Mortgage and Quicken and my preferred in-house lender who's happy to sit down at the office with you for an hour or whatever that is, right? They're all looking at different things on different days with different programs. So anytime you're comparing apples to apples, you need to be really clear that you're comparing apples to apples, right? You want to know that the points and the price and that they understand, and if it's a condo, it's a little bit higher rate, and so on and so forth, right? And at the end of the day, I want you to have the best rate and the best service. So the only thing that scares me about Quicken is I don't have anybody at Quicken that I can call and yell at. You work with one of my preferred vendors. If something goes wrong halfway through the deal, I can call and yell at them on your behalf to make sure that things get fixed, right? So these are all the types of scripts and things that you're going to want to go into, right? And you have to design your own process. You get to design your own process, right? There are 1 million different resources. You can go on KW Connect, you can type in buyer presentation, and you can buy one from Sean Kokosia. You can buy one from different people. If you go on Google, you can buy a buyer presentation. You can modify it that way. You can look, there's plenty of live demonstrations that are done right there. You can sit there and watch it 100 times and do exactly what they do. But you need to adapt it in such a way that you can own it and that it's your process, right? Now, who here thinks you should never, ever, 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 ever show a buyer unless you've done a buyer consultation? 2, 3, 4, okay. Who here thinks that you should sometimes go ahead and work with a buyer, show them property without a consultation?
Mine. Yeah.
Perfect.
Like if somebody's pre-qualified and I want to meet them and build rapport,
Yep.
I'll do it one time, but I'm not going to do it over and over.
I'll do it one
Find
time.
some kind of.
Cool. So in the right circumstance, the I'll do it one time, I don't think is a horrible idea. I wouldn't make your general practice out of it.
Yeah.
And you'll find that if you give them some incentive to show up to a buyer consultation, if you can explain to them why it's important, they'll show up a lot more often and it'll be way easier to sell. Okay, so who here would ever show property to a buyer that wasn't pre-approved? No. Anita? Okay, why?
Depends on who referred them, and if I happen to have knowledge that they have money and that they're good to go, and I only base that on someone I know, and I'm not mentioning any names, but he's standing in the front.
So that's accurate. So yes, I would, under rare circumstance, if I knew the person, if I knew their financials, if I knew they were going to get pre-approved and a property came on the market today, and I know this is sooner than we were thinking about, but let's put the cart before the horse just this one time. Let's go see it. If you really like it, we'll just fast forward everything. That'll give somebody additional motivation if they're the right person. Should you ever show a buyer that wasn't referred to you, that you don't know, who called you and said, hey, I want to go see this house right now? Should you ever do that?
That's dangerous too, right?
That's dangerous. Yes, gold star. Good job. That is extremely dangerous, right? What other profession in the entire world is so desperate and so vulnerable that they would take a stranger's phone call and then agree to meet them at the stranger's preferred location that could be a vacant house that can already be set up for horrible things to happen. Like, who would do that? Oh, I need you to meet me at 7 o'clock at this vacant house up in the hills of Laguna where there's no cell phone service. And don't tell anybody you're meeting me. And no, I won't send you any of my pre-approval or information or driver's license or anything else, right? Is that, yeah, that's dumb, right? But people do it. People do it. Here's another thing I will on realtor safety. Showing property 100% of the time, 100% of the time, trust your gut. Okay, if you get a bad vibe, bounce. Keep your safety paramount at all times. Nothing is worth it. So weirdo buyers, very common, right? Weirdo buyers that respond to your advertising, especially if you're an attractive female, very high likelihood that will happen at some point in your career, right? There's so many instances of sexual harassment or horrible things that happen. Be wary of that. Like sometimes, like my mom was a real estate agent. My mom's really pregnant. Her whole career, weird stuff like that has happened, right? People, buyers who just want to like look at 100 million houses because they want to hang out. So they just want to spend their weekends with you, right? You drive them around and then, oh, let's go get drinks. And like they want to date you by looking at properties they're never going to buy.
It's true.
You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding.
No, I believe it 100.
Perfect. So you're laughing at familiarity. Awesome. Yeah, it happens. Like it's not uncommon, okay? So that's why we have this process in place that helps you avoid some of that, right? Getting pre-approved by a lender is part of that process. If they turn over their financials and their documentation and all of their private information to a lender that you work with, that you can verify that they've done that with, what are the chances that they're a serial killer? A lot less likely, right? If they go through all that work, because it is work, it takes time to pull your tax returns and do all that stuff. If they do that, it shows their motivation, right? They're not just here to waste everybody's time. You're also not going to show them properties that they can't afford, right? That'll solve a real early problem, right? You get one profile buyer who's like, oh yeah, no problem. I know I'm only qualified for $1 million, but I want to take you out to go look at 1.4 all day long. Well, guess what? 1.4 is not coming down to $1 million. You can go up to 1.1 maybe. For the right house, maybe push that a little bit, right? It's been on the market a long time. We're not showing you brand new listings at 1.4 if you only have $1 million. And that's when we get real again and we say, do you have money that I'm unaware of? Like, is there a part of this financial picture that I don't understand? Because if there is, please pay it for me. I would love for you to spend 1.4. Nothing would make me happy, right? Assuming it's the house. So you have to have a process. You have to dial into that process. And the more you do it upfront, the better. So with a buyer consultation, give them bait. When you come to my office and we go over all of the pitfalls and potential dangers that could happen during the process of you buying a home, I'm going to give you a copy of my top 10 mistakes buyers make when buying a home, or the 7 things you should never do, or the 12 questions you should ask your buyer's agent. Right? So you're auditioning for the job? Cool, come by, meet with me first. I'll go over the entire process, and when you leave, I'm going to give you the 12 questions you should ask any agent who's open to own your business. Guess what? All 12 questions are tailored to make you look like a rock star. And you already put them together based on your process. Never would you, one question, would you ever meet me at a property and show me it if I was not pre-approved? Ask your other agents that. They'll probably say yes, they would. What's the pitfall? What's the danger? Somebody goes and sees a house, jackpot. They fall in love with it and they can't buy it. Because what if I don't tell you to get pre-approved and we wait a month? No big deal, you're not in a hurry. And then the one comes on, the one. And it's going to be a quick deal. They're going to get multiple offers. But if you had been pre-approved and if you offered the right amount, they might say, no, we won't look at any other offers. I just haven't happened to me. I put that deal in, they came back to me and they said, no, we're going to wait a week. Never mind. We said we were going to sell it to you, but we're not. And I wrote it back and I said, okay, is there a number that would lock it down? I don't want to wait a week. They wrote me back. They said, okay, here's your counter. Here's the number. We signed it. Guess what? 6 other people are super pissed off with that because they wanted their shop, but we won. So Mr. Buyer, if I put you in that position and then I'm not in a position to negotiate on your behalf for the house you want, are you going to think more of me or less of me? Right? I want to help you accomplish your goal. So no, you're not hiring me to find you the one. You'll probably see it. I'll probably see it. That's not the point. You're hiring me for my expertise. and my relationships and the ability to quarterback this transaction from step one to closing and beyond, right? So what does it look like when somebody works with you? What do they get? Right? Have you guys heard of anything cool that people do with their clients or their buyers specifically? That's part of like the package of like, you work with me and here's what you get. Okay, cool. Expert navigation. I already gave you one. What's one that you get by going to bold? Keller Mortgage. Cool. There's another one, right? You're assembling a gift basket of sorts, right? What are all the things that go in the gift basket?
Knowledge.
Market knowledge. Okay. Communication and updates. Okay, I'm gonna take some of the headache off of you. You're not even gonna hear about 9 out of the 10 of the things that I'm gonna just handle on the back. Okay. Anything else?
Somebody you're working for you.
Sure, I'm an expert negotiator. I do this all the time. I'm here to take the stress out of it for you. You know, the things that you might think are the biggest deal in the world, I've seen 100 times, and I can tell you if they really are or really aren't. What about liability? You do it on your own, something goes wrong, what's your recourse? You know, you're covered by insurance. You have resident emissions insurance. If something goes wrong and it's an accident, everybody did everything they thought they could do, you have insurance to cover them, right? How about the relationships? Do you think your clients are ever going to ask you for a referral? Yeah. Are they going to need, like, who might you need to introduce them to?
Insurance.
An insurance person, inspection, title, a million other things, right? They're going to want you to basically recommend every professional that goes on in the transaction. Rarely do I have a buyer or a seller recommend their own vendor for anything. Carpet person, painter, right? Do you have that? Do you have a list? Do you have a printed list of multiple service professionals in every single category you could ever need? You have a caterer? Who's going to cater the housewarming party? Is it going to be you? Is that part of something that goes in your gift basket? Nika. Yeah. Nika's going to cater. But here's the thing. Are you doing that, right? Do you tell them up front, like, I can't wait. So the first time you know, oh, by the way, you know, we're going to go look at properties now that we've done our buyer consultation, right? And we'll skip around a little bit. We're trying to pass the buyer consult. So we're going to, after we finish our buyer consultation, we're going to look at 5 or 6 best properties that I think are really fit. I want you to tell me everything you like about them, and I want you to tell me everything you don't like. And we're going to refer back to your list of the things you said you must have, like it must have 3 bedrooms, but I would prefer it to have 4. It must not have a pool. I do not want a pool, 100%. Okay? It has to be single story. Under no circumstances, even if it had an elevator, would I consider it 2-story. Okay? Whatever that must-have list is, right? It must be in this city. It must be in this, and then you're going to ask them questions on it, right? Testimony. Okay, so you said you want to be in Irvine, blah, 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 blah. What about Tustin? Which, if we found the perfect house that had all this stuff and it was in your price range, but it was in Tustin, would that be okay, right? So testimony, find their hard limits, find their boundaries, okay? And then you're going to tell them, and we're going to go look at property. So I'm going to need you to bring some things. So how prepared are you, right? Who here has shown property in the last month? 2 months. Okay. In the last 2 months, when you showed property, did you prepare them for the showings? How many houses did you show?
Good.
Did you prepare them for that?
Not really.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your honesty. So you didn't. So wear comfortable shoes that are easy to take on and off. Eat before you show up. We're going to be showing property from 12 to 2. I need you to have already eaten lunch. If you get hungry, bring a snack. Or, better yet, I will have snacks for you. What kind of snacks do you like? Somebody told me almonds, Perrier, and champagne.
Are you serious? In your car?
Do I look like I'm joking?
That's a true story.
Did you bring it? Like in your car?
She was kidding about the champagne, but I brought the almonds and the Perrier. You bet your ass I did. She bought $13 million house.
I would have brought
No
champagne.
shit. So we did. We just didn't bring it for the show. We told her, we said, we'll bring the champagne for the closing. So we brought champagne when they came back to the property once we were already in the property. We also filled their fridge with stuff and did a whole bunch of other stuff on top. Yeah, how cool is it to walk into your brand new home and have your fridge already stocked with a bunch of cool stuff that you like, Or how do you know they like it? How do you know they like Perrier and not Pellegrino or whatever else it is, right? And, you ask them what they like. What do you like? You like Coke or Pepsi? What's your favorite snack? What's your favorite brand? What, tell me what's in your fridge. What are your like must-have go-to items? They're not going to think anything of it. Like, right? Like they don't care. And then when they walk in, they've totally forgotten about all of that. And then they walk in after closing and they open their fridge and it's completely stocked with all their favorite things. Do they like you or do they love you?
Love you.
Do they tell their friends about it?
Yeah.
They post on social media? Okay. Is this hard? Super easy. Okay. It's all part of the process. So you're going to tell them when you're about to go to a property, this is what to expect. We're going to meet at this location and we're going to end here and I'm going to need you to either drive with me because we're going to be within a similar vicinity and it's not going to be a pain in the ass. In that case, I want them in my car. Why do I want them in my car? Jackpot. They get way more FaceTime. Why do they not want to be in my car?
So they can talk about it and not
Without
offend you.
Jackpot. They don't trust you. If they trust you, they don't care about getting in your car. If they don't trust you, they want to be on their own, so husband and wife can converse on their own, blah, blah, blah. What if they have kids?
Bring them in.
Go in their car. Who here has been in a car with 2 or more children recently? Anytime? Sat on a lollipop. What are you doing? You're so on fire. Yes. So you guys have never seen me in a suit, I assume. I have worn one to this office before, but it's very rare.
One time.
Custom, navy blue, pinstripe, beautiful suit. Buyers come into town, we need to go see another property. We weren't planning on it. I need to get in their car to go make this whole thing happen because they have 3 children, 3 car seats, and they've driven in from Las Vegas. So they've been on like a road trip. Do you know the amount of crap I had before? I'm squeezed in between 2 car seats like this, and I'm sitting on like yogurt raisins and lollipops and like every disgusting thing you can imagine. I'm like just like
You're hoping you want to
yes, like my dry clean bill is going to be stupid. Now here's your opportunity. You're gonna do it. You just did it. You're in the car. So are you gonna do it with like a big old smile and make the best of it, or are you gonna be like noticeably like, oh my god, this is disgusting, get me out of here, right? I like to equate this to when we're on the seller side and we go on the listing presentation and you walk in the door and you're like, no, and they're like, oh, this is Mr. Fluffkins, my favorite cat, and you're like, I hate cats. I hate them. I hate them so much. I hate them so much. I'm judging you for having them. And you know who else is judging you for having them? Buyers. Yeah. So what's your cat doing? Making my life more difficult? Okay, but guess what? I love cats. Mr. Fluffkins, isn't he so cute? Right? Like, doesn't matter. I love cats so much that my allergies don't even bother me. The reason why my eyes are like bleeding, and I still love cats, right? You have to put yourself in that mindset. People love their pets and their children more than they love themselves. Don't stand between their pets or their children, right? So their kids are all of a sudden the cutest little kids you've ever seen. And they're like so mortified about the condition of their car. So they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Here's a napkin. Do you need a wet wipe? Like, and you're like, no big deal. Who here has kids? Okay, perfect. So your response to that is, no big deal. I have kids. I got thrown up on twice before I left the house this morning. Who here doesn't have kids? Okay, who do you have in your life? What children are in your life? With nieces, friends with kids, who once babysat somebody, little sister, whatever, right? So that story, you need to attach that story to that moment. You have to be prepared for this stuff. This is real estate. This is what will happen. That's why you get paid good money. So you're professional. Okay. So we're going to go out. The kids are going to be there. Whose car are we going to take? Where are we going to go? What are we going to see? You're going to give me all your feedback. What are you going to bring with you, right? Do you bring a whole bunch of information? Do you bring nothing? Might depend on your skill set, might depend on your client. It's your process. You get to own it. Some realtors like to show up with like a perma-press binder, man. They want like so much data and info and neighborhood stuff and like all this stuff, right? My opinion has always been that's where you come in, right? You're the expert. So you're going to give them real life information as you go. But you're not going to fill a binder. They're going to take 10 hours of your life to fill a binder with 100 pages of stuff that applies to 0 of the properties they like. Because what happens? You do all that homework, you show them 10 houses, they hate all 10, now what? Big waste of time, right? Well, at what point in the process did you explain to them that that's how you work? So, of course, they might be a little surprised if you show up with nothing and you're not doing anything, whatever, right? But if you tell them, look, here's how the process works. We're going to go out, we're going to see the best spot. You're going to tell me everything you love and everything you hate. In fact, on the first go around, I might take you to just some sample properties. One here, one there. You just live in Orange County. I may take you from Huntington to Dana Point and inland to Tustin. I may show you a bunch of stuff. One day we might spend just focusing on North County. One day we might spend just focusing on South. Really depends on the individual, right? But this is our process. We start with a big circle, and we slowly narrow our focus until ideally you tell me, I want to be in this tract, with this information, with this house. Sometimes it gets as specific as a floor plan, right? So then I tell them, the more specific you are about what you're looking for, the more I can do on my part. So if you can narrow it down to a floor plan in a community, I'll go find you one. Because I can now contact the homeowners directly and be proactive about finding a seller for you. But if you tell me I want between 600 and 1 million anywhere in Orange County, like, no, it's every house. Pick one, they're all in the MLS. So why do I have to go find you? That'd be silly, right? Another big part of the process during your buyer's consultation. New homes, new construction. Want to hear the saddest phone call you could ever hear in your entire life? Absolute saddest. Hey, John, yeah, thanks for checking in. You know, we were actually bored this weekend and we saw some new homes and we popped in and we bought one. You do well.
Excuse me?
Yeah, what? Yeah. That sound you hear is the sound of $30,000 being flushed down the toilet. Because guess what? The builder wants to pay you. They don't care. They have no problem paying you. Guess what? Doesn't cost the buyer $1. There's $30,000 of free money that just got flushed away. No, they already did it. They walked in. Here's the thing. With new construction, they don't even have to buy it. They just have to walk through the door.
What if they have your card with them?
Nope.
You have to walk them in on
Agent
the first
must
visit.
be present at the first showing. So if you are in Cambodia, get on WhatsApp and call me. Phone a friend. Anyone, someone will run down there and meet them, I promise you. Because it is a walk them in once, free $30,000 check. Sometimes the check is $70,000.
Why would it be that much?
Sometimes price point, and they're offered. If you look up right now, you can do a cool search. Go look in the MLS for every property that's listed in Orange County with a 4% or more commission. Who wants to take a stab at what that number is? More or less than 50.
Wait, more.
More or less than 50 properties. More, yeah. It's like 75 properties right now offering you a 4 or 5% commission to bring them up. Is doing any work to find a buyer for one of those? You're not. You have a plan for how to find a buyer for one of those? No, you don't. But guess what? Would you rather sell one house that you don't have to do any work on, that you have no liability? You don't even have to do the contract. Would you rather sell one of those for 70 grand or 7 houses at $500,000 that are full of liability?
You just walk them in.
Literally walk them inside. The first time.
You have to get registered.
And sometimes they require you to re-register them every 90 days and blah, 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 blah. But if you have a good relationship with the sales agent, it's easy breezy. Who here feels like they've learned something so far? Is good? We're out to a good start?
Yeah.
All right. So part of your process has to include, have you considered new construction? Let me tell you about the pros. Let me tell you about the cons. Let me tell you about where it's located. Have you guys been to any model homes recently? A few? Like anywhere. I mean, Irvine, there are over 70 new home developments right now in Orange.
Great Park alone.
Great Park alone has 40. Well, that's a good question. It can be a little complicated. There are some websites. So some smart people decided to create websites that show all of the information, which you could do too. So if you went to go collect all of the information on all of your homes and you put it all on a website, and then you promoted that website, and you had a number to contact me, then those leads would come to you. And then you would take those people to go register, and then that would be your new job.
Wait, so you can take these
Yes.
model homes, new construction, and put them on your KW website?
Correct.
Like they were listed.
Sort of, as long as you disclose that they're not listed. And with permission, which they'll all give you permission.
It's always
What do you gotta
good.
do? What's your
Correct.
mission look like?
Okay, I like that. Say that again. They're where?
In the newspaper,
What's that?
that all these new money.
No, the newspaper. What's the newspaper? I know what the newspaper is. They don't know what the newspaper is.
The register.
Right, the register one. Remember when there used to be a register? No,
You got
seriously,
the app.
not kidding. that's really the world we live in. So like not joking around all about that.
Where did you phone?
But like, yes, that was the easiest place to have them. When the newspaper used to show up at my house a million years ago, they were all right there. They did a great job. It's like all the information. It's awesome. Because guess what? Builders have a lot of money to spend. That's why they pay you a big fat commission to walk somebody through the door. Okay, so pros. You get exactly what you want. It's brand new, sparkling. Nobody's ever lived there. Nobody's used the toilets. Like whatever, right? People are weird. So swear to God, that's a real perk for people. I know people who like take the toilets out and replace all the toilets when you buy a house.
Most people I have taken do that.
A lot of people do. It's pretty wild.
Crazy.
Seriously, I know. It sounds crazy.
Oh,
To each their own. See, people are weird. So you get that perk. It's shiny. It's new. Nobody's ever lived there. Blah blah blah. Also, you buy in the beginning phases, right? How do they release new home sales? Phases, right? Do they start with the best ones or the worst ones? Worst. Why?
so because he wants
Jackpot. Why?
more money.
Prices go up over time. So when properties are sold, when new construction is sold, they start with the worst ones and they sell them first, and then they release them in phases to continue to build demand. The people who want the best ones, guess what position they are on the interest list? First. If you want a premium lot that's going to be sold last, or you want to buy the model, very often you are the first person to register. You float to the top of the interest list because you pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass through 14 phases. And a phase can be like 4 properties, right? And they release that when they sell through those. And then they sell through 4, then they release 4 more. Sell through 4, they release 4 more. And over time, if they play it right, unless we go off the cliff like we did last time, they go higher and higher and higher and higher in price. So if you buy early, this is a perk for a buyer, buy early in the construction, by the time the build out is complete in 2 to 3 years, you've just gained a whole bunch of equity because the builder pushed it up for you. Is that a perk?
Yes.
Right? So when a brand new development comes out and they haven't even released the first phase yet, or let's just say they're collecting an interest list, and an interest list doesn't cost you any money. Like to put your name at the top and say, I'm in position number 1, you don't even have to put any money. So when that happens, should you be emailing that out to the whole database and say, hey, just want to let you know this interest list is opening up. I'd love to register you. I'd love to take you by. The grand opening is Sunday. I have times available at 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, right? What if that was your day? Like seriously, what if that was your Saturday? You set 10 appointments and you just, hi Nancy, back again. This is David. David, fill out the form. Here's my card. Scan, receipt, next, 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 right? Okay. What are the cons? Why would you not want to buy them?
May not be ready to move in the next 30 to 45 days.
I gotta build it. Take 9 months. Take a year. What else?
Wait, so can I go stand in front of the office and greet people?
I think that sounds like a great way to get thrown off. How can you intercept them otherwise? Yeah, no, I thought about it a lot. Trust me. Right, exactly. Now, you can't offer them a kickback because that's illegal. So how could you do it? You can't. Right? The only way you can intercept them is before they get there. How do you find them there? Internet. So proactively, by putting it out to your database, who do you know that would be interested in this offering? Contact me. I will take them for a private tour. Or, hey, internet, I'm over here. Anyone looking? Here's the information. Please call me. I'll help.
So if you get someone to buy a house, hasn't been built yet, they based on floor plans or blueprints and whatnot.
or model.
Yeah. They have to put down a deposit or something?
At a certain point,
When do you get it?
when it closes.
So within a year and a half or something?
Could be.
I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, they would.
I know, the rest of them, like, when that year and a half comes, like,
And like right now, there's a lot of builder products, right? It's like called easy move in or like there's a lot of specials, right? If they've already built it and they haven't sold it, they want it gone. So you can negotiate on those a little bit sometimes. Another thing is like there's a great thing floating around the internet right now, which is like why you should always have a home inspection, because they unscrewed the little return on the wall and it's literally just drywall behind it. It doesn't go anywhere. And it's like, so another way to bait people would be the 10 reasons you should never buy a new construction home without a list. If I'm thinking of buying a new construction home, would I want to read that?
Yeah.
Is there value there? Okay. Does that insert you right into the middle of the deal? Yay, right? You got to get yourself in the middle. You have to have a reason to be there. But it's essentially free money. So that's
No, say something
Yep.
$30,000, for example.
Yeah.
And they don't go in with the agent.
They'll
Can they
figure stuff
negotiate
out.
on their own behalf to get like a $30,000?
not a 30,000, but yeah, theoretically, but they don't think that way. And the way the line items work in the builder's side of it, in their pro forma, it doesn't work that way. They have numbers. Your involvement does not hurt them in their negotiation at all. And the salespeople don't get paid that way, so they don't care either. That's the best part. They just want to move. They get paid per house sold. So, and they want to sell through the entire phase, the whole project, so they can move on to the next. So they're compensating in the complete opposite way of us.
So to get permission, though, would you just go in there and say on the list your.
You say, first you walk in and you say, hi, I'm John, nice to meet you. I'm a real estate agent. I'm gonna go look at these houses. I'll be right back. I'll let you know if you have any questions. Then you go in, you look at the models, take your own pictures, whatever you wanna do. And then you come back and, oh my God, those are the prettiest houses I've ever seen. You guys are all sold out, aren't you? I'm like, no, actually we have 7. Oh, wow, awesome. I can't wait to share this with my database. Would it be okay if I advertise this to all the people that I know? Yeah, absolutely. Are there any disclosures, things I need to put in there? Yeah, you need to say that you're not representing this, blah, 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 blah. Well, could you email that to me with my card again? Send me over everything. In fact, while you're at it, include all the high resolution pictures, brochures, downloads, anything you guys have, just send it over. I want to get it out to everybody in my network. And just send them all the disclosures, requirements, everything else. I'm happy to help. Can't wait to partner with you to these last 3 sold. Chestnut trees. All right, back to the cons. Why do they not want to buy a new construction house? What are the other problems?
Sometimes the street rent can be finished.
Right, you're living in a construction
Yeah.
site for the next 3 years.
Wow.
You have no neighbors. Could be a ghost town. I know neighborhoods in Irvine where they literally finished them and nobody ever moved in. They're all bought by Chinese investors who don't rent them out. They don't even rent them out. They leave them vacant. Why? They want it to be
That's in
new.
Orchard Hills, yeah.
At different places. They want it to be new. Portola Springs, kind of.
Mhm.
Brand new. No, never lived in. So when they resell them down the line, they can say that they're brand new and never lived in. But more importantly, they don't care about the rent. They're just parking cash that they got out of China, because at China, your money can be taken away at any given time. So to get your money out and put it in a US investment in a physical structure in land and real estate, that is about the most secure asset you can get. We're all following along. All right, why else? And I'm gonna finish on this and then we'll go into more stuff next week. Also, everything you see, you know how you walked into that model home with me because I took you to see 5 of them? And by the way, if they have even the littlest, tiniest, most big interest in the new home at all, if they would ever consider it, go there first. Why? Easy commission, and you register them. Then if they cheat on you on a Saturday,
They're already registered.
you're already registered.
How can you want to know without sounding desperate to your client? Like, if you're gonna go do that,
If-
please call me.
If you're interested in new construction, I'd like to start there. It takes a long time sometimes to build those houses, and we need to get a jump on it. I'd really like to start with new construction, and that way it's either a go or we just take it off the list.
And hope they don't piss people around.
Furthermore, and then I tell them, furthermore, should you ever get drunk on a Saturday at brunch and decide you want to pop in a new construction house, call me. I will
Helping
drop what
with
I'm
you.
doing. You are so important to me that I will drop what I'm doing because if you walk in without me, they will cut me out of the entire transaction and I won't be able to help you. And remember, the list of 10 reasons you would never want to do that without an agent is right here. Because you're still helpful. Even though you're not negotiating with, well, you could kind of help negotiate, but even though you're less involvement, you can still be helpful. You can still be a resource. And ultimately, you're going to be selling the listing when they decide to sell in years
Right.
or whatever. So you need to be involved now. Right? Help them choose finishes. What if they wanted to get those ugly granite countertops that Joshua was going to get? Instead of the, right? He said granite. It's not granite, it's quartz. Don't worry, in 5 years it'll be granite. Okay.
So,
We have dinner.
It's just a trend.
Right before we sold, of course.
Jackpot. All right, so that also everything you walked in that one model home that one time, or you watch HGTV and you see how beautiful those houses are. Right? Guess what? All an upgrade. Money, money, money. It'd be very expensive to buy a new home, right? It costs you a lot of money in upgrades. You see sticker price $799, you're paying $1 million, right? They won't even let you buy it without flooring. My client wanted to buy it, no floors. Because all their upgrades, all their money is in the upgrades. They make a huge profit margin on everything they do inside. So if you say, no, I just give it to me with plywood, I have my own flooring guy. Nope, can't do it. Won't give you the certificate of occupancy. Convenient. So then he had to pay for flooring that he had to then turn around and rip off. Swear to God. Super annoying. You have to tell these stories, right? So you explain to them why they would and why they wouldn't. And that's not to say one is right or wrong, but let's go investigate it. And let me take you over there and walk you through some stuff and talk about it and make a plan. And then from there, we'll go look at other normal traditional resale homes that are hopefully a very nicely redone flip with quartz counters and shaker cabinets and open concept. Okay. Cool. You guys good for today?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Question.
How do you handle when you have a client that wants to sell and buy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do both the listing and buyer presentation at the same time?
Yeah, and ask them, when you go on a listing presentation, ask them where they're moving to.
Mhm.
Find out if you can help them. And the answer is you can help them. You can either help them find an agent wherever it is that they're moving, or a great agent. Or you can help them buy right here. You'd be surprised how many agents lose that other side because they just don't ask. So try and knock up both sides if you can. And when you do, yeah, you just explain the whole process and you say, look, we can do this a couple of different ways. We can find the house you want, lock it down, and then put your house on the market, but I don't think that's going to work, and this is why. Or we can put your house on the market, and we can sell it contingent on you finding a replacement property. That way you know how much you're going to net before you start shopping, and then we'll have 30 days or 2 weeks or however long we negotiate to find your replacement property, and if you don't find one that you're happy with, then you're not obligated to the sale of your home, and we can either put it back on the market, or ask for more time, or decide not to sell at all, and you just decide to stay here. But the best way to figure out if this is all going to work is to list with me today, get the property ready to go, put it on the market, figure out what it's worth, make sure that you're happy, and then go find your replacement house. Unless they already found the one, which is sometimes why they call you. It's like, we just walked into this open house, we didn't make you like it. Oh my God, it's so cute. And now we need to buy it. No, we're not in a position to buy, so you have to help us write this miracle offer that they're going to actually accept, which means it needs to come with a marketing plan and a whole bunch of other stuff, pictures of their current home, how quickly you can get it on the market, testimonials for your success, agent recommendations, how good of a job you did in that one time when that happened, a whole plan. Like, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know my buyer is risky. They know they're risky too. That's why they're willing to pay a little more. And here's the package, and here's our plan. You accept our offer, house is on the market tonight. I've already got my photographer, he's on his way there right now. Blah, blah, blah. Not the preferred method, it's a little tricky enough.
Can I ask you a question? If you're showing property and it's listed by another agent, and the owner happens to be there and starts talking with you, is it all right to ask them if they have someone to show them the home for where they're going?
Absolutely. It also works when you're door knocking. So never cross a sign. That's okay, just part to the point. Never cross a sign. So that means that is a metaphor for what it really means, which is never get between the agent and their client. So if you meet someone at an open house and you say, are you working with an agent? And they say yes. You say, have you signed a buyer representation agreement? And they say yes. You say, great, you should contact your agent to help you. I don't want to interfere. If they say, no, I haven't signed a buyer representation agreement, they're not that person's client. Go ahead, poach all you want. If they have a sign in their yard and you're door knocking, it's pretty obvious that they're listed, right? You can still knock on their door and ask them where they're moving to. A lot of times they list with Joe Broker from Orange, and he only has one office. He doesn't know any agents in Ohio or Connecticut. You can't help them and doesn't care, right? So you never know, right? So just ask the question. Feel free to knock on that door. Build rapport. Maybe they fire their agent one day and they hire you.
Or the house doesn't sell.
Yeah, or the house doesn't sell. Now you already know. So don't let it be a reason you don't talk to people. Just respect the boundaries in the contract. And don't try to insert yourself in the deal. Don't say, oh, your agent's pictures suck, or oh, I can't believe it hasn't sold after 180 days. Maybe if you change the thing. Like, don't do that. But definitely going on that. You might meet somebody at a party who's like, yeah, I'm listed. My house is on the market. Oh, cool. You cooperating with buyers? Yeah, my agent's offering 2.5%. Cool. What's the info? I'd love to reach out if I know of anybody. By the way, here's my info in case you're needed. Right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. They may start asking you questions. Well, my house hasn't sold in it's been like 3 months. Da da da. Well, you're listed with your agent, right? Well, I can't really talk to you unless you've initiated the conversation. But I just want to be clear. I don't want to get between you and your agent unless you're making a change. And if they say, yeah, we are considering making a change, then feel free to proceed. Be ethical. Think about how you'd feel if somebody did it to you if you were on the other side. Okay? When somebody this will happen. Listing of homes, it will happen. When somebody tries to poach your listing or steal your client, you will be pissed. Okay? So be ethical. Be fair. Like, put the client first.
So I did an open house for one of the guys this weekend, but I had the book, for them to fill out their name and email, or phone number email. So all those people had buyers, or they said it, but I didn't ask about the contract. So now should I just follow up with them?
Yeah.
Just like casually, like, it was great meeting you.
Hey, it was great meeting you. Wanted to follow up and see if you had any other feedback or questions about the open house. Are you planning on making an offer? Yes or no? If you're not planning on making an offer, why not? Is there a price that you would make an offer at? If you're interested, whatever. So I'll check one. By the way, I noticed you marked you're working with an agent. You signed a buyer representation agreement. No. Right? That's the sound you make every time you want to manipulate somebody into doing something that you want them to do, and not what they think they want to do. So have you signed a buyer representation agreement? No. What was that? I was shocked. What do you mean you're shocked? Well, I mean, that's probably the most important part of the process. And you're working with an agent who didn't want to do that. If I were you, I'd be concerned. If my mom called me and said she was working with an agent who didn't do a buyer representation, that would be weird. I'm not even sure that's legal. Literally use that line right there. I'm not even sure that's legal. Because it's not.
Not legal.
Not technically. So they're not your client. You don't get an agency disclosure. If you don't fill out the paperwork ahead of time, you're totally outside of what our attorneys recommend you legal. Completely outside of it. Does anybody listen to them? No. Does anybody fill out a buyer representation agreement? No. Should you? Yes. So we have copies of them. So take them home with you. Read them before next class and come back with any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.